Hello and welcome back to another video, a little bit of a different one. I'm going to be looking at the top 7 in the Premier League and their final fixtures in the Premier League only. And I want to do the top 7 only because Everton are now, I think they're on the exact same points as Arsenal in 6th place. So it's a good time to have a look at it, and I want to look at, we're going to start from top to bottom. So we're going to start with Chelsea and we're going to finish with Everton's fixtures. I'm going to look at the home fixtures first for Chelsea, so let's get into that straight away. So on the 1st of April, when Chelsea get back into action, they're going to take on Crystal Palace. After that, they're going to take on Man City. Then the next home game for them is on the 22nd of April against Tottenham. And then after that, they then have Middlesbrough. Their final game of the season in the Premier League is against Sunderland. Okay, so that's quite vital for them, actually. What a game to finish on, especially where Sunderland is sitting in the table right now. Now, let's have a look at the away games. Now, they will be away on the 8th of April at Bournemouth. After that, they then go to Manchester United. Then the next one after that is Everton. And then West Brom just before the Sunderland game. So they don't have... They've got some big teams to come up against. They really do. They've got, obviously the key ones there will be the likes of Manchester City, Man United, Tottenham, and even Everton themselves as well. Everton are putting themselves in the mix, and you can't count out a team that when they've got a striker like Romelu Lukaku, who's on fire, and Enner Valencia, who seems to be doing pretty well whenever he comes on now. Now, when it comes to playing the last 2 fixtures of the season for them, it's against West Brom, and then they were against Sunderland. Now, they could be absolutely vital. It could be absolutely vital depending on how the rest of the fixtures go, how they play against the bigger teams like Man United, Man City, and then obviously how they play against Everton as well, but also how they play against some of the other teams, and Tottenham. I'm not forgetting Tottenham in there, like the likes of Crystal Palace and stuff like that, who sometimes these teams can come up against, they can come up and make some big issues for the bigger teams as well. But for Chelsea, I don't see that happening, because Chelsea have been pretty much been able to put away every single team they've come up against. There's only been the rare occasion we beat them early on in the season before they had their system settled. And then I can't remember who else did. I think it was maybe Arsenal beat them 3-0, which actually was the cause of change for Chelsea. And they've gone on this ridiculous run, and they're doing unbelievably well. So I think, again, it's a good run-in for Chelsea. It's a difficult one, but they've got the squad depth, and they also have be able to rotate it with good quality players as well. I don't think these fixtures are going to really affect them a great deal. What I'll do after this as well is I'll have a look at who's got the best fixture running, and hopefully maybe try and predict what the shape of the top 7 will be. But I think for Chelsea, there's no one's going to knock Chelsea off their perch, and I think Chelsea will finish first in the Premier League. They will be champions this year. And I'm trying to say it as unbiased as possible. Obviously, Liverpool, I'd love to, go as high as they can this season, but Chelsea are practically untouchable. I also forgot to mention that the Tottenham versus Chelsea game is actually for the FA Cup semi-final, so I shouldn't really included that in the fixtures there, but anyway, we're moving straight on to Tottenham, and we're going to have a look at their fixtures now. Just running through the list of this one, because they've got quite a mixture of away and home games as well. So first up for them, they're away at Burnley. After that, they're away at Swansea. Then they're at home to Watford. After that, they're at home to Bournemouth. Then they've got the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, sandwiched in between all of that. Then Tottenham v Arsenal, 30th of April. Wow, that's going to be so unbelievably vital for both teams. And then they've got to go to West Ham. They're going to go to the London Stadium after that. Then they also have another big clash, which is big again for the shape of the top 7 and 6. So Tottenham versus Manchester United at home. And then the final day of the season for those guys is against Hull away from home. And I got to look at it, actually, to be honest. Those final 4 fixtures against Arsenal, against West Ham, against Man United, and against Hull. Now, what Tottenham will be hoping to, avoid from last year was that capitulation that they had against Newcastle, where I think they lost 5-1. Newcastle was still going down, but Tottenham they threw away second place and they came third. And it did wonders for Arsenal, like in the fact that they could say that their season ended really, really good. They ended second, but Tottenham, they really have to avoid something like that happening. Now, I don't see that happening against someone like Hull. No offence to Hull, I just don't think they're going to have the firepower against Tottenham. But I would have said that last year about Newcastle. Newcastle coming up against Tottenham, no way are they going to win 5-1. But it happened, and it can happen. Then they've got to come when they're coming up against Arsenal. Arsenal will be fighting, or they at least have to try and fight for the rest of this season to get out of the predicament that they're in, because they're 6th place right now, which is, I think it's unknown territory for their fans and their players, and also their manager as well. Hasn't really been outside the top 4 a great deal in the 20-odd years that he's been there. West Ham, again, don't know what they're going to be playing for at that stage of the season when it's 3 games to go. I'm not sure where they'll be in the table. They can pick up points, but they can also drop points like they're going out of fashion. So that could be a good one for Tottenham, could be a banana skin as well, depends on what type of West Ham turn up. Then you've also got Manchester United, and that's going to be huge, because Man United are seriously wanting to put a push onto the top 4. They're in 5th place. They've come out of 6th place now, where they were there for 100 plus days or something like that. They moved down to 7th recently, but then they've just bumped themselves back up to 5th place, and they're in the best position that they've been in for a while. They're 4 points behind Liverpool at the moment. But it's vital for Tottenham to take these games on and, at least not lose them. It really is absolutely vital, because Tottenham will be hopefully looking... Tottenham are the closest rivals to Chelsea, and they're still 10 points off. It shows how dominant Chelsea have been, but Tottenham are still technically in with a shout, unless, which I think will happen, and that Chelsea will win the rest of their games, and they'll win the title with 3 games or so to spare. Can't remember exactly what the figures are. So there's still a lot to play for Tottenham, but their priority will be finishing as high up in the table as possible. They do have some difficult fixtures as well. I do think that Tottenham will finish 2nd, but I think 2nd and 1st are pretty much, sealed in at the moment. I think that Tottenham are definitely going to stay where they are. I think they'll obviously gain points. I don't think they'll drop a lot of points. I think they've obviously got some key ones there when they're coming up against even the likes of Watford and Bournemouth. Bournemouth and that play pretty decent football, and on their day they can tear apart anybody. Arsenal, they'll be fighting. Manchester United will be fighting. Hull could still be fighting relegation as well. So you never know what could happen there, but I do think that Tottenham will finish 2nd in this season. Now, straight away, we move on to Manchester City, who are sitting in 3rd place at the moment, just above Liverpool. And they obviously took each other on at the weekend. It was a 1-1 draw. Pretty feisty match, but it was 1-1 anyway. Now, the next 2 matches for Man City after this, so after the international break, is away at Arsenal and then away at Chelsea. Huge matches straight away. So they'll have done matches against Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea consecutively, and then they go... they're at home. Are they at home? They're at home to Hull, which will be a pretty big game as well. They've got Southampton coming up, and then they've got Arsenal in the FA Cup. Middlesbrough back in the Premier League, away there. They're at home to Crystal Palace, at home to Leicester on the 2nd to last game of the season, and on their final game of the season is against Watford. I mean, wow. I didn't even know that was their fixtures coming up straight away, but they're huge, huge fixtures. Arsenal, again, I've said about Arsenal already. Arsenal are looking in the direst of straits that they've ever been in a long, long time. Chelsea, champions elect, and Chelsea is so hard to break down. As attacking as Man City can be, they didn't really break our defence down a great deal, apart from the one shot on target that they got on Sunday. But other than that, they couldn't really break down our defence, and to be fair, our defence did a pretty damn good job. But Chelsea have one of the best defences in the league. It's unreal. They really do. They have a very, very solid defence. And if you get in behind that defence, you've got a giant Belgian goalkeeper in Courtois to try and get past. It's going to be very difficult, and I don't really see Manchester City winning that. They could possibly draw it, but I don't think they'll win it. Then they come up against the likes of Hull and Southampton. Hull, I think Man City should be brushing aside, but you never know. You never know with Marco Silva coming in as the new manager. Sometimes he is like that Oumar Niasse or whatever his name was from Everton, I think it was. Whenever he plays, they seem to do okay. I think that they've been unfortunate with results ever since the start of the season. But they seem to be getting a little bit more of a stride back into them now. Southampton will be a big game, I think, bigger than it probably people are expecting it to be because of the run that Southampton can go on. I think Southampton have got really good players. They've got a very good team. They play very well together as a team. And a good striker in Gabbiadini, who has come out of nowhere. I didn't know who he was until he signed for Southampton, but I for damn sure know who he is now. So I think that's going to be a really big game as well. Their biggest game after that, I would say, to be honest with you, will be the Leicester game, second game to the end of the season. I think Leicester is going to be Well, I think Leicester beat them 4-2 or something earlier on in the season in the reverse fixture. I think Leicester did actually, that was one of the shining lights of Ranieri's unfortunate reign this season, in that I think they went 2-0 up within like 20 minutes and the game finished 4-2 or something like that. It might have been 4-2 or 3-2, but Leicester definitely did win it. Leicester now are firing. They are firing, and they are, they're frigging into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, of all things, coming up against teams like, who have they got? They got Atletico Madrid. Leicester versus Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. Come on. They're going to be they're going to be a hell of a team to come up against. And Manchester City, depending where they're at that time, depending on how many, points, what happens against Arsenal and Chelsea, first of all, and then where they go from there, the likes of Southampton, Middlesbrough, they can sometimes cause problems to the bigger teams. Crystal Palace are the same. Watford, end of the season. I think that Leicester game could be a pivotal point, especially so close to the end of the season. That really could be a pivotal point. Now, I'm going to go controversial because, yes, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm trying to remain as objective as I can. I think Manchester City will get top 4, but I think they're going to finish 4th, okay? Which also means that I'm going to be looking at Liverpool next, and I'm going to give a prediction there as well. Some of you might not like it and might think it's a bit biased, but I think we can do it. But I do think Manchester City will finish 4th this season. Next up, we look at Liverpool, and Liverpool only have Premier League games coming up. Now, 1st of April, April Fool's Day, 12:30 kickoff, we'll be coming up against Everton. It's the Merseyside derby. Big, big game. They've got Lukaku, as I've said before, they've got Lukaku, who's absolutely firing on form at the moment. He's banging goals in left, right and centre. They have to hope that on international duty, he's not going to go and get injured or anything like that. But Everton are a dangerous prospect no matter what. They've got young players coming through, like I think Davis, I don't remember his first name. They've got younger players coming through. Koeman's doing a very good job, as much as I don't like to say it because it's Everton and they're our closest rivals, in my opinion, City rivals. And I just think that it's going to be a huge game because our strikers aren't necessarily firing. Our defence can be suspect, and Lukaku is ridiculous. He is ridiculous. He can assist, he can score goals, he can pretty much do it all. He's a marauding centre forward, he's unbelievable, and he's going to be their main threat. And that's probably, for me, that's the one, we have to hit the ground running after the international break, because straight after that, we're at home. And now we're at home for the Everton game as well, which that should hopefully give us a bit more of a spar. I'm not saying we can't beat them, I'm just saying let's be wary of, let's be wary of Everton, for God's sake. Let's give them some respect, but let's not give them too much. Then we're at home to Bournemouth, and then we're away at Stoke, away at West Brom, at home to Crystal Palace, away to Watford, and then we're at home to Southampton, away to West Ham, and at home to Middlesbrough on the final day of the season. Now, I'm looking at a couple of games there. Southampton and West Ham, they're the ones that I'm looking at, and maybe even West Brom as well. They're the ones that I'm looking at as potential banana skins, especially West Ham. For some reason, we just cannot get past West Ham. They seem to be our bogey team this season and last season as well. I think they did the double on us last season. They think we drew with them this season. I think it was 2-2. We just haven't been able to beat them, and we need to. Second game to the end of the season, we absolutely need to be winning those sorts of games. But the same for Southampton. Southampton are a difficult team, and they've posed us a lot of problems. They're very defensively solid, but very good going forward as well. And West Brom, because you saw what West Brom did to Arsenal. Now, we're not playing like Arsenal. I don't think we will play like Arsenal, especially defensively. Our defence has had a lot of stick. I've given it a lot of stick as well. I don't think we'll be defending like that, but they're a dangerous prospect. Everybody knows. I think the percentage at the moment is 48.1% of West Brom's goals have come from set pieces. You know where the danger is with West Brom. If we can make sure that we can now, nullify that threat as much as we can, especially when you've got the likes of Rondon as their striker, and I don't remember any of the names of their players. Dawson, who got two of West Brom's goals against Arsenal. You've really got to nullify these threats early on, otherwise you might as well just call game over, and that would be pretty much it for Liverpool. We're not necessarily the best at defending aerial threats, so Liverpool needs to be winning these games. At the end of the day, when it comes to the final game of the season against Middlesbrough, I do believe that Liverpool can finish third. I'm not saying that they will, but it's a prediction. This is a prediction video. And I do predict that Liverpool will finish third. Not just because they can, we kind of need to as well. Because you never know what's going to happen in the other European competitions. I don't want to be fourth place and have like Leicester win the Champions League or Man United win the Europa League. I don't know how it works specifically, but we can't have that happen. I'm going for third for Liverpool. Now, next up, we come to currently 5th placed Manchester United. And I think out of all of the top 7, I think Man United have the most fixtures left due to cup games and UEFA Europa League commitments and stuff like that as well. So I'm going to try and fly through the Premier League games. First up, they come up against West Brom, who've had a very good result against Arsenal. Then after that, you know, friggin' hell, Everton are going to have a hell of a busy time because Everton will be facing us on the 1st of April. But then it looks like Manchester United at home on the 4th of April, they're going to face Everton. So that's going to be a pretty busy time there as well. Then they're away at Sunderland. After that, they will be at home to Chelsea. Now, that's going to be a big, big game, that I think. They then go away to Burnley. Then they're at home to they're at home to Swansea City. They're away at Arsenal. They're away at Tottenham. And then they're at home to Crystal Palace on the final day of the season. That's a tough run-in for Manchester United on the last 10 games in the Premier League. Never mind the fact that they've got cup commitments and the Europa League as well. They're going to be facing Anderlecht in the Europa League. I mean, that is a hell of a run-in. Manchester United do have squad depth. They've proven that, obviously, with the likes of, I think they've had Pogba, Ander Herrera and Ibrahimovic out over the weekend. And I think they were facing Middlesbrough. They won 3-1. They've got squad depth and they've got the talent levels in there as well. So I think Man United fans will probably be a bit confident that they'll be able to come out of these games and have some good results in them. I do think, I know I predicted that Man City will get 4th, and I do think they will. I think Man United will run it close, and I think they'll finish 5th, though. I think they'll stay in the position that they're in right now. And I'm not... Seriously, genuinely, I'm not I know I'm a Liverpool fan, and I'm really not looking at it like Manchester United, screw you lot, you're going to sit in 5th. It's just what I'm looking at in terms of the fixtures they've got coming up. They could pull out an absolute blinder and win them all. You never know what can happen in the Premier League. That's always the quote that's said. I'm just trying to give a little bit of a prediction of where I think things are going to sit, and that is just currently my thoughts on that one. I think they're going to finish in 5th. So next up, we come to 6th place Arsenal, which is weird to say. I've got to admit, it's weird to say, but 6th place Arsenal. And for me, looking through these fixtures, I think the first one coming up and the final day of the season are going to be quite key for them. And there's one right in the middle as well, which is going to be, it's an FA Cup game. Even so, it could, deplete the squad somewhat. I think they've got difficult games. Let's go through them. First one coming up, Arsenal at home to Man City. Wow. Then they're at home to West Ham. Could be another one as well. I know they did them like 5-1 last time out, but West Ham can sometimes cause problems. They certainly do for us, Liverpool. Then they're away to Crystal Palace. They're away to Middlesbrough. They're at home to Manchester City in the FA Cup. They're away to Tottenham. They're at home to Manchester United, away to Stoke, and then they're at home to Everton on the final day of the season. They have some huge games against some big teams, but even the smaller teams right now are doing... they're kind of doing a number on Arsenal, and it could be Arsenal have got some decisions to make, especially if you ever watch any of the the Arsenal fan videos and stuff like that, and you hear or you look on social media and you see what their fans are like. It's not looking good for Arsene Wenger and his Arsenal. It really, really isn't. It's looking pretty dire at the moment, and I don't know where Arsenal are either going to turn it round and pick up all these points. Because they're facing some big, big teams in here. They're facing Manchester City, first of all. They're then going to be facing, after that, the biggest team after that. They all come in one, really. After that, I think it's the 30th of April, they're going to come up against Tottenham away. Then they're going to face Manchester United at home. Then they're going to face Everton on the last day of the season. They've got some huge games coming up. Big, big games where their players aren't necessarily looking the most motivated. It's like Sanchez is normally their hardest working player. And he does seem like he works hard for like the first 20 minutes or something like that. But after that, it's like he's kind of just lost the will to even try. And then the rest of the team don't seem to have the ability to get up for the game that they should be. And these are big, big games. If Arsenal drop out the top 4, that's huge. Arsenal drop out the top 4 at the end of the season, which, by the way, I am predicting that is what's going to happen. I don't know what will happen to Arsenal. Can Arsene Wenger stay on? I don't think so. Absolutely not. You can't, especially the slating that we've had over the years for our managers and stuff like that. We've had nobody, for a long, long time, I can't even remember when, probably before I was born, that's been there as consistent as Arsene Wenger and delivered sort of consistent top 4 and stuff like that, but not really a great deal of trophies in the last 10 years. I can't really talk about having a manager with that type of longevity possibly leaving. But at the end of the day, if it's not delivering and you're slipping further and further, and then if you slip out the top 4, it's not going to look good for Arsenal. It's a big call, right? It's a really big call. I don't think Arsenal are going to be able to turn around this season. I really don't. And I think that Arsenal are actually going to finish 7th. I really do. I thought that Arsenal at the start of the season were possibly going to finish, 4th or 5th, because they normally just finished in the top 4 anyway. I didn't think that their squad was strong enough to finish in the higher levels, finish challenging for the Premier League, second and stuff like that. But I think this is going to be this could be the season that Arsenal are out of the top 4 and they just slip 7th. I'm predicting 7th. Don't hate me. It's just a personal point of view, looking at the fixtures, how the team's performing at the moment, the mentality around the club. And I don't know the club very well because it's not my club. But I'm just looking as an outside viewer. I think that Arsenal are going to finish 7th, and it's going to be crisis stations for these guys, if it isn't already. And the final ones of the top 7, obviously now you know my predictions that I think that now Everton will finish 6th, with me predicting that Arsenal are going to finish 7th. And that'll be pretty decent for Everton. I'm not saying they couldn't finish any higher. I just think that of the current top 4 and 5, I just don't think they're going to be able to crack it. The main competitor there will be between them and Manchester United. Everton could then maybe finish 5th. I'm not sure, but I'm going for 6th. And they've got quite a hefty run in as well. As I was saying before, in the Man United one, they've got a pretty, as I said, hefty. They come up against Liverpool first on the 1st of April. Then they go away to Manchester United. Then they play Leicester. They then play Burnley at home, West Ham away, Chelsea at home, Swansea away, Watford at home, and then Arsenal away. So they've got a pretty hefty. They've got a pretty difficult run-in, to be honest with you, but I think they actually do have the firepower to go that little bit further. They could finish in 5th, but I do think they're going to finish in 6th. I think they've got talent levels, and they've got I think they're starting to display some good squad depth in there now that Koeman's in there. Seems to be drilling the players very, very well. And I just think they could pick up points. They're the type of team that can pick up points against Man United. They could even pick up points against us. I hope that they don't. They will definitely give Leicester a good game, I think. Who else have we got in here? Then in between that, they've got the game against Chelsea, which that's going to be a very, very tough one, I think, for Everton. I don't know whether Everton will be able to come out of that one, winners or anything like that. I just think Chelsea are on such a blitz. I don't see Chelsea losing to anybody. But I think that they'll win against Arsenal on the last day of the season. I think Everton will finish in 6th. They'll get some European competition, and it'll also then hopefully give, for Everton fans' sake anyway, it'll hopefully give Ronald Koeman the time to actually build the squad, get more players in. He can offer European competition. It's not the Champions League, but if they then go and do maybe what Man United might do this season, if they go and win the Europa League, then they get Champions League, and they've got a trophy in the cabinet as well. You never know what could happen, but I think it could be good for Everton, and I think they'll finish 6th. So to summarise, basically I'm looking at Chelsea finishing 1st, Tottenham finishing 2nd, Liverpool finishing 3rd, Manchester City finishing in 4th. I got Man United finishing in 5th, Everton finishing in 6th, and Arsenal finishing way down in 7th. Let me know what your thoughts on that, on the top 7 is. I will do one for the bottom. The bottom of the league anyway. I don't know how close that is, but I will do one for the bottom of the league as well. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Get your thoughts in. Don't hate me because of some of the predictions I've given. It's just a prediction and some thoughts. That's all it is. It's not victimizing any teams or any fan bases. It's just some thoughts that I've got. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, as always, and I'll catch you later.